And the crazy thing is right now the Ampatuans are fielding 74 candidates in the 2013 elections, and the Mangudadatus are fielding many more candidates. So what's happened in Maguindanao in the last 3 years?
Um, I hear some news, some articles that like they said that the Ampatuans might be going back to politics, and we cannot prevent them because they're not all criminals. That's what I've been telling some of the
Yeah.
people. The wife of Unsay is not a criminal, so she
Yes.
can run. But if you look at the political spectrum of Maguindanao, it's a turf war actually. It's like if I have more members of my clan, then I have a better chance of winning. And we could not, the reality is like the Ampatuans at the height of their power, they have intermarried with different clans. And
Yes.
so there are many families that control political power at the local level. And when people are running, they just account for how many clans are allied to them who are in political power. And then from there you can see who is the stronger candidate.
Yes.
And if I look at it like the Mangudadatos, practically they control only 3 towns.
Yes.
And maybe a few allies. Because those towns of the Mangudadato was also created by Andal Ampatuan for them to have political position,
Yes.
political power. They divided the area according to clans, not according to not according to economic factors, but more of the political division is also aligned to the clan.
Yes, and this
clan
is
control.
but this is also something that the government also helped put in place. I mean, the government of former President Arroyo actually worked with the Ampatuans, both at the
Yes.
beginning and until now.
Sometimes I was vocal at that time because I remember we had the Dimaporos during the time of Marcos.
Correct.
And I think after that, there was no major political warlord in Mindanao. Maybe just warlord within the province, within the municipality. But well, during the time of Arroyo, then we had the Ampatuans. They needed their political support, and so you create Patuan.
Yes, there's a phrase, the CIA created a phrase called blowback. You reap what you sow. Blowback is you fund a group like the Ampatuans because you need the political vote power that they can get to you.
So for me, it's not the Ampatuans who created a monster out of themselves. It's somebody, it's Manila that creates monsters on the ground because in order to get political support, you have to take care of somebody on the ground. And because of the culture, if you give them so much direct connection to Malacanang, then they abuse this relationship. And then they ask for so many concessions, and so you create a monster out of this.
Is this happening now?
Right now, I hope it doesn't happen because as long as Malacanang will not anoint any specific person to control power in
Yes.
one area, then we can let the people decide who they want to have their leader.
We've been talking about this, and the implicit assumption is we kind of know who were the people who killed the 58. What about justice for the families, for the victims, for those 58 people? It's 3 years down. How do you see this happening?
I really could not imagine how long this will happen because I myself appeared there as not really a witness for the prosecution, but more of a resource person because I implemented martial law.
Yeah.
So I just explained our actions. And the problem is we accuse so many hundreds of people in the crime, and but if you ask me my opinion, there's only a small group that masterminded and implemented this thing. And so, but it's very hard also to sort of sort out things and then say, okay, we'll only accuse 10 or 20 people. We had to bring in everybody or file a case against all those those who are in that group, in that clan. So, but when you go to court, that's a different thing. It's going to be, the
You
process.
have to prove
Yeah,
every
you have to
single
prove
step.
it, and,
Yeah.
proving a crime is very hard.
And the people who are witnesses are slowly dying. Key witnesses are disappearing.
Well, in fact, since I retired, I read some news articles that some were already killed, so I feel bad about it. But actually, there was a time that I don't want to testify anymore. But anyway, they explained to me, you're not testifying as a witness for the prosecution. I said, okay, I'll appear in court and just explain what happened.
I asked you this earlier. Do you think this can happen again at this scale and magnitude?
No, I don't think so. As long as the leaders at the national level don't manipulate people on the ground, then maybe, definitely, this will not happen.
Let's talk about, I'll bring you out further, Bangsamoro Peace. You handled West Mincom, you handled the MILF, you're very familiar with, you were one of the first generals to actually talk about Jamaah Islamiyah, the links to terrorism. How did you react when the Bangsamoro agreement was signed?
Well, particularly the framework agreement.
The framework agreement.
The roadmap.
Yes, the
I was
roadmap.
happy to hear.
Are you optimistic?
Because for me, the framework agreement is just a formal end to the armed conflict. But the political struggle will be long, because I don't know if national government is really ready to give so much power to an autonomous area. So because I also participated in the review of the final peace agreement with the MNLF.
Correct.
And every time we talk about the economic sharing, the issue on control of resources, and then the power sharing or the devolution of some powers, we get stuck up because we don't have laws that will define I think the laws that are existing are not also clear on how much power the autonomous region can have.
Right.
Like when they were talking about on the sharing of resources. Of course, Miswari was demanding something like 70-30, 70 for ARMM, because they said we are marginalized and we want a catch-up rate, so national government should only get 30% and 70% for ARMM. But when government asked them, okay, what is the basis of 70-30? Why 70-30? Then we get stuck up because there's no basis actually.
Correct.
But common sense will tell you maybe they should really get a higher share of resources, because we have to accelerate development in Mindanao. But I think for me that's a major factor in attaining a lasting peace, to accelerate development.
And you've been working for peace for a long time, but now, given the conditions that are there, are you optimistic that peace can come and development can happen?
Yes, but we have to really work hard on it, because I am participating in a discussion group with different agencies, international agencies and local agencies, on how on the normalization process only.
Yes.
And when I started writing, scribble some things, and I was thinking, how do you now combine DDR or the
disarmament, dropping the weapons.
That's the conventional thing.
Yes.
How do you come up with a customized DDR process for this kind of culture, and you have to combine also security sector reform, and also the peace building program has to continue. And it took me already about 1 week thinking on how putting some details on planning consideration, and actually I just I always think how can I where do we start, for example?
Yes.
Well, basically, how do you make people feel secure so that they will just dispose the gun or keep the gun?
Yes.
There was a question in the discussion: who's going to secure MILF communities? Who's going to secure MILF combatants? who's going to secure mixed communities? Do you think mixed communities will feel safe being secured by MILF combatant, for example?
Yes.
And how do we go about this? Again, there's a provision in the normalization where it says that AFP will turn over the security function to the police, whether it's Bangsamoro police force or what. But the question is, if even in our previous discussions, the police would always say that they're not ready to take over.
Correct.
They don't have capability. And there's always a question that the existing police force in the ARMM area, most of them were recruited according to, relationship with the mayor or the governor.
Clan, right?
And
Clan
the
again.
value
it goes back,
system
right?
of these police are, oriented in protecting their boss,
Yes.
the mayor, the governor, the existing mayors or governors who
Yes.
are also political warlords.
Well, General Ferrer, you're also one of the first generals to actually integrate the police to work for the military, to work with the police in trying to maintain law and order. People may not know there's been a rivalry between the two groups, the police and the military, in many of these areas. Let me ask you, we're unfortunately out of time. Thank you for answering these questions. This is from social media. I must throw a question from you, from @JB Cancella. This goes to the heart of the security forces. How did the Ampatuans gather so many firearms and ammunitions with immunity from the military?
They did not have actual immunity, but this is the problem with a prolonged conflict. In the process of addressing the conflict with MILF, government forces had to look for allies. The natural allies are the existing political officials. And so most of them, they would not also want to help the military and the police, fight the rebels if they will not also be armed. So some of them have asked to be allocated some kafgus that they don't really control, but rather to protect their area, so that when they assist us in running after the rebels, then they need also protection. But in a way, they were able to manipulate this to their advantage, because in this kind of a feudal environment, so that you will, in order to perpetuate political power or expand your political power, you need an armed group. And if you have the armed group and then you have political power, then you control the province, the area. And so this is how they took advantage of the situation where there is a need for the military to work with local officials in addressing insurgency.
Fantastic. Well, it doesn't sound like that much has changed right now, except perhaps disengaging from the power center in Manila, from Malacanang. Any last words, General Ferrer, as we move forward, going into the future? It doesn't sound politically, moving into 2013, I guess, what are your predictions, if any, for what kind of, the level of violence in the local elections?
Well, with the framework agreement, and then I think even OPAP was saying that there's a possibility that they'll be able to work on a final peace agreement. That's good, but again, that will only address what we call the vertical conflict, the conflict of government with MILF. But after that, everybody has to work on the horizontal conflict, the RIDO, the land conflict, and many people were displaced in this conflict. And when they go back to their land, maybe some people are occupying their land, then they would be fighting, each other, families, clans, and then and so forth. And I think that will be the longer conflict that we will have to address.
Thank you very much. Straight talk from the former martial law administrator of Maguindanao, Lieutenant General Ferrer. He retired in January this year. He was the former chief of the Western Mindanao Command. General Ferrer, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining Talk Thursday.